Hello and welcome to LangTime Chat, episode 14. And I'm saying that because I feel like it is, not that I actually remembered to verify before we started this. But hello, how are you, David?
Oh, were you saying hello to me? I thought you were saying hello to them.
I am saying hello to them, but then I was like, maybe I should ask how David's doing.
Hmm.
Because today's going to be a big episode.
Yeah, it is. Today's a very special episode. Today we talk about the history of Social Security numbers and kind of like how they came into being,
Mhm.
what you can do with them now. And as an example, we were going to trace the history of
Mhm.
Jesse's Social Security number.
Indeed, that is exactly what we're doing today. And we're not. Actually, today's episode is inspired by, I believe it was Mike Katalinich on Discord, had asked for us to talk about tone, and we didn't really have. We were both like, we don't know how much we could say to fill up, I don't know, a whole hour about tone. And so I thought
Mm.
I came up with a different idea so we can target tone and discuss it, but at the same time have some fun. And we're going to see how this works. It's going to be like a pass and play conlang. It's going to be great.
Ooh. Okay, I am so into that, but just FYI, I'm not going to do anything with tone. So anything else is fine.
But the whole thing was I was trying to make a tonal language. If you mess this up before we even start, I
Oh
swear
yeah, you're
I'm
gonna mess
kicking
it
you
up
off the
bad.
podcast and taking over.
All right. Well, I mean, that's fair. You probably should have done that 6 episodes ago.
Only six. Oh, all right. So I understand that this being a podcast, when you're listening to this, you're not going to see the document. However, we will eventually put this up as a video on YouTube as well. And so I am going to be sharing a screen with a document. And David just received this same document uh, right before the episode
Hmm.
began. And if he followed the directions when I shared it, give him the evil eye. If he followed the directions, he has not scrolled past the first page, which means he hasn't seen anything other than the title page, which very clearly says it is the LangTime reference grammar and lexicon. And so it is the template for creating languages that
Yeah,
David has shared more than once, and we've had it in multiple places.
it says David and Jesse. Where are our last names?
It's, we're all informal right now.
Are
I'm
we?
trying to, we are. Are you not?
Okay.
Are
Let's
you
let's.
already going to make the first edit to the?
Yeah, we'll do our nicknames.
Oh, are you putting it in right now?
Yep.
Yes, you are. Okay, there we go. So David,
I mean, those are
David
those are
has
our
changed
our nicknames.
our names to Dee Dee and Jeff, and obviously I'm Dee Dee, and he's Jeff. Right?
You think that Jeff is a California nickname? I do not think so, Missouri.
Why Jeff? Okay, whatever. You know what? We could have a whole conversation. All right. So this is a language sketch by Dee Dee and Jeff. Uh,
Yeah. Also, do
and
you want to know the history of this nickname? It was
I would
when
love to know.
it was when you were 5 and you were stuffing your face with marshmallows and you were reaching for another marshmallow, and your dad says, "That's enough." But with a mouthful of marshmallows, you said, "Just for more." And from there on, you were Jeff to your
Okay.
entire family.
I am very curious if this was an origination story for somebody else's nickname or if you legit just came up with that entire story just randomly off the top of your
Um,
head.
no, I didn't come up with it. You told me this story when you told me about the origin of your nickname. I mean,
I love how
your
convincing
sister's
you are
probably
because
listening to
you're
this.
even like
She can
making me
confirm.
wonder.
I
You're
mean, it
like
did
making me
happen.
wonder, is this real?
It did happen. It did happen, Jeff.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Sure.
Actually, though, Dee Dee was the original name of my dog, Brandy.
Hmm.
And when we adopted her, I gave her the name Brandy. Because I thought it was closer to Dee Dee. And also, I loved the name Brandy. I had learned about it in the Battle of Brandywine. No. I learned about Brandywine later. It was somebody on the Mickey Mouse Club.
I never watched that, so I don't, sorry, I don't share the reference other than knowing that a lot of pop stars came out of it.
Right on. Well, anyway, it was good talking to you. I'm gonna hit the leave button.
Time to go. Well, cool. Then
Okay.
that means I can erase Dee Dee,
Sorry.
and this will be
Okay.
by Jeff. Okay,
But
here we go.
let's do it. Here we go. What do I do?
So stage one, I have already gotten us started. So you're allowed
Okay.
to scroll to page 2 now.
Got it.
And what I've done is I have selected the proto sounds that we're going to be using. And so um, some of them may seem surprising. And I left some columns in just in case we end up introducing sounds, because otherwise I've
Yeah.
completely eliminated palatal and glottal consonants, but through sound changes, we may end up having some in there. So I left the columns there for now, even though they are empty. I have decided this is going to be a proto-language with only voiceless stops, but then also there's going to be ejectives. And part of that is because I will be pronouncing everything that we create today, and I'm horrible with ejectives. And so people can hear that it's okay if you can't pronounce your language the best, and then David can like teach me how to say them. So there's a series of P, T, K, and Q, which is always a fun one to
yeah,
hear me
that's
say.
it's cool to give the names of those, but I don't really know how those sound. And since this is an audio medium, you can go through and pronounce those for us, Jesse?
Obviously, but let me finish what I was saying, David.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so there are the ejective forms of all of those as well. And then there are 2 affricates, the TS and KS affricates. And so I'm going to say these all at the beginning of a syllable with the ah vowel after them. And I feel like P is the ejective P right off the bat is going to be the worst one until you get to the ejective Q. And then I feel like it's all hell's going to break loose.
I can't wait.
So,
So excited.
First, we got ba, ta, ka, and ka. Okay, so those are the plain ones.
Damn, listen to you, girl. That was good. That was a good uvular stop.
Thank you. Now here's where it falls apart. Just a second. Pa. Oh, no. I can't. I'm better with the T. Ta. That's not even good. That's not good. My mouth is not cooperating with me today. Pa. Ba. Was that? No, that was not it. I can't get it. Let's have you do it first and tell me how to make my ejective P, because I have never been good at these.
I'm going to give you an anecdote that is going to help you with ejective P. On The Simpsons, there is an episode where Bart decides to sell his soul to Milhouse for $5. And so he writes it down on a piece of paper, and Milhouse gives him $5 for the piece of paper that says Bart Simpson's soul. And Milhouse says, kind of raising his eyebrows as if he's pulled one over on Bart, "Pleasure doing business with you." And then Bart replies, "Anytime, chum." That is an ejective P. Can you do that?
The whole
Just the chum part.
Just the chum?
Yeah,
I can do the chum. Chum.
That was close. That was kind of it. But the idea is it is a P that is pronounced without any air coming out of your lungs. The air is produced by the glottis. So all you have to do is hold your breath and do your darndest to make a P.
I like that you think it's so easy.
To hold
Okay.
one's breath?
Yes, as soon as I hold my breath, I just fall over. Uh, we're going to be doing really well, by the way, if we're like 10 minutes in, and all we've done is try to get me to say an adjective.
Hit me with the P. Hold your breath and hit me with it. Try to shoot it at the screen.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Bah.
No. Don't worry about the vowel. Don't worry about the vowel. Just do the P. Just do the P.
There's really no noise.
That's not true.
Holding my breath, like this is not working. Bah. I can't do it without, but that's just I can do that.
Oh no. It's not that. It's not that.
How do you do it without a vowel sound?
Spit it.
Yeah. I cannot wait for the YouTube video to be released and for you to be like,
yeah, especially since like when you're sharing your screen, your video is over here. So I'm not even looking directly at the camera. I'm looking at little you over here.
which makes it even better. Okay, we may have to come back to this.
Got it.
Because, well, this podcast episode may come to you in 5 parts.
Yep.
Part 1 is sound system. Just the proto form. And there's David showing off. He's even doing like a dance, like an adjective dance to show off that he just did them all.
It helps. But I have 2 questions. May I ask these questions now or should I hold them?
Are they only about the stops? Because I haven't gone on to the other sounds in our proto language yet.
They are in the stop column or the stop row.
Stop row.
They are in the stop row.
Okay, go for it.
You have ta, but you don't have the adjective.
I know. I did that on purpose.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Partly because I knew how much I would struggle with just the adjectives. And I was like, do I really want an adjective affricate? I feel like
it's the best one.
You know, no, you're stuck with my decision.
Okay, no, good, because I have another question about the decisions that you have made. Xa's not really an affricate.
I know. Really what I want is that to be one of the only allowable onset consonant clusters. And instead of writing a rule for it, I put it in the chart.
You got it. Can we do that as
an
adjective?
So I cheated.
I don't think you can. You can do it followed by an adjective, but you can't do, it's just not possible. But you can do, that's how you do the,
yeah,
like
you act like I
music.
could ever do that. I'm glad you think more highly of my skills.
I'm going to listen to you for many years, and at some point in time, you are going to unconsciously start mimicking, house music or techno music, and you're going to do it, and I'm going to go, ha! You can do it.
It will take many, many years. Okay, so, and honestly, to be honest, really the TS and KS both were born out of the fact that I wanted them both to be onset clusters, but the only onset clusters allowed in the language. And so anyway, I just decided to present them as affricates instead.
Got it.
That may be a questionable choice.
Got it.
Okay, then we only have one fricative, and it's the S. Sa. I could do that one.
No, it's incredibly bold. I love it.
And I'm glad you're stuck with it. This is a very stop heavy language. We have one approximate, the L, so la, and then 2 nasals, the M and N, so ma and na. And the reason I picked those nasals in particular, not just because they fit in terms of placement for what's going on in the language, but it does seem to be the case that in most languages, if you only have one or two nasals, it's going to be the N and then the M. And so I just went with that. And also in a lot of languages, it's more likely that you have voiceless stops without the voiced counterparts than the other way around. And so I ran with that too. So those are our consonants. Vowels, we have a classic 4-vowel system, I, U, A, and David's favorite, schwa. And I just know it's going to be dead very soon.
It's not long for this language.
but I wanted to start with fewer vowels because a lot of times we can end up, I do have a note that all vowels except the schwa can be combined for diphthongs in the proto-language. And so that will be, I know David will kill the diphthongs as well, and that will end up giving us more vowels. And so that's why I started with fewer vowels, and I chose specifically kind of all over the vowel chart in that classic way that tends to happen. Okay, so those are some reasons for what I've chosen. Now, here's the big thing. I did want this to be a tonal language, but I'm letting David decide what kind of tonal language we're dealing with. And you can talk a bit about tone, because I know, well, first of all, I know you know more than I do, and you've done like a whole episode. I think you did like a whole video on it, I think, on your other YouTube.
Sounds like
and so it does. And so you get to decide whether we're doing register or contour tone, and you can give a brief introduction. I'm going to tell you what you can do. Go ahead and give a brief introduction to those systems to any listeners who are not as familiar with them, and then tell me what tones we're going to have.
Okay, so the two systems that we have, register and contour, are systems that we have observed in natural languages on Earth. And so it's not necessarily the case that a conlang must be one of those two. There are, I don't know, like semi-exciting combinations of the two, but I mean, I don't find them. I don't know. You could combine them. I don't find them particularly interesting. I think it would end up being a little like the writing system of Japanese, of all things, where it's like, you know, you have these kanji characters here, and then you have hiragana doing the rest of the work. It feels like that's what would happen. You could be like, here's a word with crazy contour tones, and then here's the rest of the stuff, and it's just anyway. A contour tone language are languages like you find in Southeast Asia and in mainland China. So languages like Chinese, Vietnamese, and Thai. These languages have a fixed number of tonal melodies, and you can usually refer to them by number. In fact, in China, there's tone 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the neutral 5th tone, which inherits its tone from previous syllables. That's only found on function words. But these are tonal melodies generally. So for example, one of the tones in Mandarin is ah, you know, like a high, pure, flat tone. All the rest move around a little bit. So there's one that goes like ah. So it starts mid and then goes down. And there's one that kind of does a little dipsy doodle, and I think it's like ah, something like that. Ah, I believe. And I don't remember what the last one is. I think the last one is a sharp drop. So one is like a mid drop, and the other one is a sharp drop, like ah. And then those.
Are you talking about Mandarin?
Yes, Mandarin. Did
Well,
I get that right?
you didn't do the rising one.
I did. Ah.
That's the one that dips down, but then there's also just a rising.
I'm not sure that's true, but I'm willing to admit I'm wrong if I'm wrong.
I'm fairly certain you're wrong.
Oh boy, this is a good one. Everybody keep track, because whoever wins this challenge gets to decide the color of the shirt that the other person wears on the next podcast. Tones.
He's looking it up now. And he's realizing that he is wrong.
Oh, snap. So the 4 tones are ma, 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 ma. Jesse
You're welcome.
was right, and I was wrong.
And I'm going to require a full picture of your wardrobe so I understand what colors I have to choose from, because it's really not fair to make you wear a color you do not own.
As you ought to know, my shirts are arranged in rainbow order.
Awesome.
This is not a
But
joke.
and I'm just laughing and saying awesome. I did not treat it
Yeah,
as a joke.
the
I do, however,
only
need to see what my options are.
the only color that I don't have is something like hot pink.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, I do have a very light lavender. I do have that, and also darker purples. So if
Hmm.
that, because I know that your favorite color is pink, so I wanted to be sure that you knew
Yeah.
that right off the bat. Um, but yeah, everything else in between, I have it, including a couple of tie-dyes.
Oh, it may need to be tie-dye. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna think
Yeah.
on that. But
So
those are the tones of Mandarin. Uh-huh.
yes, okay. So a contour tone language is one where a tonal melody and a specific tonal melody is assigned to a particular word. And so it'll be like wherever you see that word, it's always going to have the same tonal melody. The only reason it will change is it might surface allophonically a little bit differently. For example, like in English, where you might say, ride. No, no, that's an irregular one. Um, okay, slot, for example, slot could be a verb, and in the past tense, it's slotted. And the T surfaces as a flap, right? So that's allophonic variation. The same thing can happen with tones in contour languages. So for example, you might say, like if two of the same tones come next to each other in a compound in Mandarin, there are rules about how the tones change. They might surface differently because they're in a compound and then they're same tone. They distinguish themselves a little bit. But that is purely allophonic variation. You never see tonal changes for grammatical purposes. A tone change is associated with a lexical change in contour tone languages. And like I said, there will be anywhere from 4 to like 7, some say even 9 for some languages, different tonal melodies, and they may be pure and flat, or they may move around. So that's the gist of a contour tone language. A register tone language, also called a level tone language. Um, they don't have tonal melodies; they have tonal levels, and it's usually I think it's only 2 or 3. Either they have the levels low and high, low and high, or they have the levels low, mid, and high, and that's it. Every syllable has a tone on it, but those tones are not necessarily inherent to a word and may shift for various reasons. So you will see phenomena in register languages where tones change, say from a singular to a plural, or like from what's it? Like tenses in verbs. You'll see pairs where it's like across the entire paradigm, the only thing between tense A and tense B is a tonal shift. And it could be that it won't be the same tonal shift. It could be like an opposite thingy, where like if it has a high tone, it's going to be a low tone in this tense. If it has a low tone, it's going to be a high tone in that same tense, and so on. There will sometimes be contours, but that will be when there is a combination of 2 tones at different levels that have come together for whatever reason. Sometimes you'll have a leftover tone at the end of a word, and so it smashes on to the previous syllable and forms a contour. Sometimes it'll be in compounds, um, and other reasons like that, maybe grammatical reasons. The tone gets added on. Uh, However, there will often be restrictions. For example, in Hausa, I believe it's the case that falling tones are allowed, a high tone followed by a low tone, but rising tones are not. So you'll never see a low tone followed by a high tone in the same syllable, simply because the language doesn't allow it. Examples of register tone languages or level tone languages, you can find them all over sub-Saharan Africa. So Hausa was an example, Yoruba is an example, Igbo is an example, Legbo is an example, languages like that. So, fair introduction?
I think so.
Okay, good.
And
Don't know if I
what
missed anything.
is, well, if you did, then people listening, you need to comment and let us know what David missed.
We'll go back in time and I'll say it now.
Now, I swear this is going to end up being like a 5-part series. And I think last time I said 3, now it's 5. It's eventually just going to be a gigantor series that we're doing.
I would have made a joke about mixing up 3 and 5, but you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I've seen parts of it.
By the way, Jesse, were those adjectives? Were those adjectives?
No. Okay, so oh, here we go. We are on the right pages now. What kind of tone are we doing in this language?
Where ought I be? I'm in the document kind of separately, so I can tone. There we are.
Yeah, on page 9.
Page 9. Oh.
You can also jump to where I am because I'm like on the note.
How do you say 9 in German?
How do I say what? Sorry?
9 in German.
The number 9?
Yeah.
9.
See, it sounds like saying 9, but with an accent. It's kind of fun. How many hot dogs do you want? 9.
Oh, actually, it's going to go slightly to acht as I take out the stress. Okay.
Got it. All right.
Now,
so something that I think you should know about me, or if not, maybe others should, I don't know. If you give me the chance to decide what type of tone language it's going to be, it is going to be register, because I strongly prefer register tone languages to contour tone languages, A, and B, I just love them. I love them to bits and pieces. Were you hoping I would say contour?
I really had no preference. I just wanted us to have tone.
Okay.
And so if I had a preference, I would not have let you make the choice.
Good. That's the correct thing to do.
Oh, I need to leave that note because just in case we have some grammatical things going on with tone. So I will leave part of the note, but here, okay, so new lang, right now we don't have a language name, obviously. So we're still going by new lang, which is the just random language name in the template. New lang has register tone.
I mean, I can still hear you. I just had to take care of something over here. Oh, Roman.
Goodbye, David.
It's Roman.
Something to do with Roman. Okay.
Yeah.
So new lang has register tone. That's all we know so far, but like how many are we doing? And you can also type at this point. If you want to type, I will let you type.
Also make a note of tone is used grammatically. Like any note? Like,
no, not any note. I mean,
example,
first and foremost, remember my screen is being shared, so don't go typing your social security number.
No, I wouldn't make that type of mistake. I'm not, my name isn't Jesse. Ain't that right, Jeff?
That's right, Dee Dee. Okay, so no, not any note, obviously. Biscuits. Just typed the word biscuits into it. I was saying you could add. Right now I said I have typed new lang has registered tone. I was saying if you want to finish typing that out to say how many tones we have or to describe them, then you can.
Okay.
Or you can tell me what to type and I will type it.
Let's go simple. Let's go simple and say it utilizes 2 tone levels to produce. Do we want to add an arbitrary restriction? How deep do we want to get? Do we want to do up step or down step?
How so do you mean?
Like for explanatory or pedagogical purposes, do we want to talk about down step and up step?
Yes.
Okay, then I have one question for you. Which do you prefer? Number 1, right? Number 2, right.
Which do I prefer? Like there's
Yes.
just a second, say them again.
Right.
The second.
Okay. These 3 tonal melodies, high, low, and falling. Rising tones are not permitted. As a special extra note, tone can be used grammatically.
Okay. That note was already in the document, I'll have you know. So that's
Oh,
in
it
your
is?
template. Yes. I didn't type anything except Newling has registered tone. That was part of your document, your template. And
I wrote
I
that?
love
I wrote that.
that you are making fun of yourself.
I
Okay.
am,
Now,
which may be a good excuse for having biscuits.
you know, I forgot to tell you to have a Copico ready because I was like, you know what, we're conlanging today. We should have had Copico, but next time when you're wearing your
Yes.
tie-dye shirt, we will have a Copico along with it. I have to
One of
decide
the,
on the tie-dye shirt though. I
yeah,
feel like I need to see my options before I actually make those
one is more
choices.
blue and one is more green.
Mm, still not a lot of pink. Okay.
The one that is more blue has the most pink.
Good to know. Okay, so we now have some tone information. In the proto forms, is it just going to be high and low and then the falling is created when it's on one syllable, or
Oh, you assume that we're just going to throw tone on things in the proto language?
well, how would you like to do it? Please tell me.
I mean, often tone emerges from proto codas or proto onsets, the
Okay.
collapse of proto distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a ton of proto distinctions, but we can do something. I must, oh yes, so good.
What just happened?
I'm now sitting in that one position where where like when you're standing, you put your foot against your knee. What's that called?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You should know
Mm-hmm.
what that's called.
The tree pose.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Thought it would, I don't know, thought it would have had a fancier name than that, but yeah.
You're making
So
a figure 4 with your legs.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Tree pose.
in
Yeah.
that case, we'll wait until we get to the sound changes,
Okay, good.
because now what
Yeah.
I have done is, along with choosing the sounds, I've also made a list of roots that we're going to evolve eventually.
Oh,
I
where are
don't have
they?
them in the document You may need to see them before you decide. I have them in a different document.
Well, what's the point of that? Like,
The point of that
uh,
was that I was going to be ready to put them in. I have them copied. I can copy and paste them.
you could have done that before, though.
David, do you really? Come on
No,
now.
no.
Be nice. Oh, and I have your old template. You know how I know that?
Because it doesn't have the numbers.
It doesn't have any numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, bummer.
Oh, wah,
Oh
wah,
well.
wah. So our sound changes, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna put the roots to evolve right in between your introduction to historical notes. And this is just a start of a list of roots. I tried to put like all sorts of things side by side, and some of them I'm hoping for certain sound changes, but we'll see if David complies because
Okay.
since I made all of the proto sounds plus some of these roots, he's going to get to decide what we do to the sounds. And I get to ask all my questions as he does it to be like, why? Why do you hate central vowels, David? Why? And we can go from there. And if you need more variety, then I will happily expand the list of roots.
Okay. First, why don't you go ahead and pronounce all of these roots for us?
I would love to do that, David.
Fantastic.
And what I want you to do is, after I pronounce it, because I have a very special dialect of this protoform,
Yes.
I then want you to follow it up with what would be probably the more standard dialect of the protoform pronunciation.
Yes. So you'll be having you have your Plains New Lang dialect, whereas I have
Yes.
coastal New Lang.
Yes, yes. And I will say here in the plains, our ejective consonants are, not so ejective-y.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, the first one is pull.
Pal.
Okay. The second one, this is where it starts getting fun, folks. Down.
Oh.
That was yeah, much better. Oh, I can't do it. Okay. I'm going to practice though. I'm going to practice.
Did you just F at me? Did you just go to me and be like, did you do that?
I was almost going to say a certain word, but then I was like, crap, we're being recorded and I should not.
Yeah, you don't want to get
But
into fiduciary matters.
It's about me not being able to do it and being like, what is wrong with my mouth? Okay.
Okay, next.
Siuk.
Siuk.
It's always better. Lam.
Lam.
Swat.
Swat.
Ksainu.
Ksainu.
Tsali.
Tsali.
And then here's where I totally kill myself. Okay, I'm gonna do it without an ejective first. I feel like that'll be easier. Ukali. Oh, did I almost do it by accident? Ukali.
Yes, you almost did it.
I almost did it. Okay.
Ukali.
Nice. That's an ejective cue, by the way. So that's the uvular stop, ejective form.
Cool.
Diapu.
Diapu.
Aki.
Aki. Oh boy, that was a failure. Aki. 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 Aki.
Oh,
there we go.
God, I almost choked myself. Aki.
Aki. Aki. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Uimpa.
That sounds like a familiar word, doesn't it? Uimpa.
Nice. Nutsia.
Nutsia is clearly the cutest word on this entire list.
And then Imkak.
Imkak. Good.
I'm excited to see what happens with that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So first, let's just throw in a nasal assimilation rule. I don't see any reason not
Obvious.
to.
Is that going to be our first rule?
Maybe not chronologically, but it can be the first one that we write up because it's super easy, you know?
So in the template, David has some common rules already written out. And so what I have just done is I pulled that one and copied and pasted it at the top of the list. And so here we have that nasals assimilate in place to a following or preceding consonant. So we got to decide, I mean, is it going to go both directions?
No, no.
Okay, so
Nasal
what
assimilates
direction?
to a following consonant.
Okay, so it's only going to look forward. And then I'm going to take out, because we don't in the protoform have a velar nasal, and there is a line in there that is specific to the velar nasal.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll leave in the last note is other exceptions will be noted when they occur. Yeah, why not? Because there's always exceptions, right?
Yeah, you can just you can write that on every sound change.
Indeed. There we go. Okay, so now, right now it's number one, but of course that could change
Yeah.
depending on what else is going to happen. Okay,
Do we want
so
to apply these sound changes to the list as we create them?
so this one, that's a good idea, David, and this only affects two.
That's
And
right.
so I guess the only reason we wouldn't apply them necessarily is if we're going to go change in the order so much that other things happen. But we have wimpa, where the N is followed by a P, and so that is now
Yeah.
wimpa, or not I'm putting an instead of a schwa there because I know it's going to die. So like I'm already changing it. Wimpa. And then the last word, which is inkuk, where there's a Q followed by a schwa and K, and so that one's hard for me to do.
And now
And
it's just
the
inkuk. Nice inkuk.
it's
That's
so much easier.
yeah,
And
so
I'm going
much.
to, oh yeah, oh cool, I got it first try. Sometimes I don't remember how to type in all of the IPA symbols on the IPA
Yeah, that's a
keyboard, and
tough
I
one.
don't use that uvular all that often. Cool, so we have one sound change, and I'll end up updating the consonant chart since we just added a consonant, an allophonic one.
Well, we've added two really because even though it's not on this list, we'd also have a velar one.
Oh, we sure would have a velar one. So yes, I am also going to, good point, good point.
Okay.
Okay, now, what happens next?
I think that we should throw in the uvular coloring.
And what uvular coloring would that be, good
It's
sir?
it's going to lower E to A, U to O, to, and then both and will merge as ah.
Okay. And I don't think, is that one, did you have something like that already typed up in here?
It's certainly a sound change I've used before, but it might not be in here. No. You want me to take a crack at it?
Oh, sure.
All
And
right.
while you're doing that, I will actually change our protoforms that this affects. It doesn't affect too many.
3 of them, it should be.
Um, I know, I don't know why I did 2 ejective cues in protoforms. I feel like I was really doing it to punish myself to
Well,
see
the
what
thing
would
is though,
happen.
like you have, I mean, I said that Nutsia is the cutest word, and I stick by that. But the best word that you came up with was ukali. That's one of the best words I've ever seen. Like one of the best like roots forms. It's so
Well,
solid.
thank you. Thank you.
I love that one. All right. It's going to be
And so
there's no real way to say that, but that's good enough. High vowels.
So there was a protoform. So while David's doing that, one of the protoforms right off the bat was the aki. I'll get it eventually, don't worry. And that one is going to be lowered from that E after the uvular Q in ejective form. And so it'll be ake, ake. No, that was really not far enough back. And then non-high vowels are going to merge. And so ukali is going to be ukali. Oh gosh, yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Ukali, and then inqaq will be inqaq.
All right. Whoop. Yeah. Inqaq. Totally.
What we're setting up here, yes. What we're setting up for here, by the way, is a split in the low vowels. We're eventually going to get rid of the uvulars. They're going to merge with the velars. And then we're going to have this split where occasionally you will have an ah vowel, or you will have a fronted ah vowel, or maybe an ah. Maybe it'll push all the way to ah. And then we'll have this split that didn't exist prior, because there used to be a distinction between uvulars and velars. This is going to be really cool. We can actually, write that in. So that.
Do you want me to write that in the uvular coloring section?
No. See, I don't want to get too ahead of things because I was imagining those being later sound changes, but
okay,
just in case we forget, better write them in there. Uvular velar merger.
and that happens quite a bit, really just because of location, because I mean the k and the k, they're right there.
Yeah. All uvular consonants become their corresponding velar consonant buddies. I don't know.
Do you want me to go ahead and make that change, or wait in case other changes come in between?
I think wait on that one. Wait on that one. And then I also wanted to, what's the other one? This couldn't happen before. It could happen. Well, I guess it doesn't matter where it happens.
Would you want it before the nasal assimilation, though?
Low vowel assimilation. No. I actually, I don't know if you know the one I'm referring to. I'm referring to like V minus, okay, wait. V minus back becomes plus front. And so the vowel ah pushes forward and becomes ah. There we go. Okay, so these are all in, I think, roughly the right order. But I don't want to do anything with 3 and 4.
Yeah. The only reason I asked about nasal assimilation was, would you, in theory, in a word like nkak, be stuck with a uvular in because nasal assimilation happened before the Q, that uvular Q became a velar K?
I mean, you want to say that, yeah, like if sound changes were like that, but it feels like the nasal assimilation is going to happen. It can just happen. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't happen. All uvular consonants become their corresponding velar consonant buddies. So that means.
Oh my gosh, because it's all, and so that would be nasals included. I was thinking stops, and you're right. And nasal is still a sound. So
Yes.
really, we created a uvular nasal only to kill it. So in the IPA
Yes.
chart, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
not going to include it as an option.
Yeah, or you could put it in red, saying that it was, brought to life
It
and
was
killed.
it was
In red, in
momentarily there.
parentheses. Yeah,
Oh, in
like it.
parentheses in red. Gotcha. Got it.
Yeah. Um, but like, don't worry too much about even that part, because the truth is there are not going to be any nasal codas by the time we get to that.
Well, you know what? This is going to be fun. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to see where you take this.
yeah. And I know that we haven't even got to the tone part yet, but
Not at
this is
all.
setting up. This is setting up for it. We're going to lose our codas. We're going to lose our codas. So be prepared for that. And I know I said
Oh,
register tone language, but this really feels like it's setting up to be a contour tone language. But don't worry, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. In the 3.5 minutes that we have.
is that what we're left with?
Yeah, like about. I mean, we always try to make these things aim for like an hour-ish, right? So we don't
Uh-huh.
want to go too much over. But I got to tell you, so first, I apologize. I know I waste a lot of time, and so I wasted a lot of time at the beginning. But this is just a ton of fun. So I hope that we can just pick this up again for next month's podcast.
Well, that is the plan.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
mean, I knew we weren't going to get that far, and I honestly don't know even how far we want to take it, but I say as long as people are having fun listening to something completely different from what we're doing in terms of language styles. I thought that would be a fun podcast.
Cool. Okay. So one thing I want to do, we can do a couple of things before the uvular-velar merger, and before we do anything with codas, but after uvular coloring. I guess it doesn't matter, but I think it makes sense to do it after uvular coloring. Let us have post nasal voicing. Okay, so
For a second, because you said post twice, I thought you really wanted post nasal so that it would be, like one sound post the nasal.
okay, goes to plus voice after a nasal. So voiceless, non-eject, plain voiceless. That's it. That's what I want. Plain voiceless stops voice after nasals. So
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and apply this to
yes,
the two
yes, I do.
words? Okay. Because right now we only have, so now we're going to have wimba.
Yep.
Wimba. There we go.
Oh wait.
What's that?
Wimba.
Oh. I should have seen that coming. And now we're getting ngak.
Yeah.
Ngak.
Ingok. 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 Honestly, for
Yes,
me, the hardest thing is switching back to a K and not doing another Q. Um,
right.
but yeah, that is another phoneme that you can put in red in parentheses, because of course that voiced uvular stop is also not going to last.
Right. And we already know that, but I can also add, we have, now we have a K and a G and a T and a D. We will eventually whenever we actually have roots with them. And we have a B. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, is it going to affect what I am calling the Affricates? So if we had like Inza, would it be Inza or would it stay voiceless?
Yes. No, it would voice. It would voice.
So should I not put KS as an affricate anymore?
I will allow it. You can
You're
have
gonna
your
allow
ingza. You can have your
Ingza?
ingza.
Yes.
Ingza.
Okay. Awesome. Oh
I
my gosh.
mean,
Okay.
why not? Let's just throw it in there. I'll put it right after pal. How olds do see. How's that? In fact, let's do ksit. Do we have anything else
Oh,
we
that's
do? And it's kind of nice. All right, I'll leave it. So that's going to become ksit, which is going to become gzit. Angzit.
I mean, how do you not love that?
I mean, it's not going to last.
I mean, I know that. You know that. All right. But I think that we're not going to find out how it's not going to last in this episode because I do
No.
believe we're about up, right?
Yeah, we're about up.
And so what's going to happen, even though you're not able to, see all of this during the listening to the podcast, I will add the document that we're working on as a PDF attached to the podcast. So that way you can see, everything that we've just typed if you want to review it and see what we're doing so far. And that will be a resource included with it. And
You can.
yeah, like, what are you going to say, David?
Oh, I was going to say you could also see the secret message I'm writing on page 17, but don't scroll down to it, Jesse. Don't scroll down to it. You have to download the PDF to find out what the secret message on page 17 is.
I feel like, okay, cool. I'll wait. I'll wait. I have not scrolled anywhere and I will look at page 17 after printing the PDF. And then I'm going to be terrified to find out I just shared my social security number. Uh, so
You
yeah,
know,
and that means, oh, go on.
oh, I was just going to mention, I think everybody knows this, so it's not really a big secret. But your social security number actually appears in every single episode of LangTime Studio. It's like an Easter egg. You have to hunt for it.
Sure. It's, by the time you put all the page numbers together, eventually you're going to get there. There's only so many options. Okay. Okay.
Good
Okay.
stuff.
Um, oh no, either David's frozen or he's laughing so hard he's not coming back at all. No, there we go. We're unfrozen
No,
now.
it's your internet. It's giving me red bars.
Oh shoot. I sure hope the end of this episode manages to stay online.
White bars again. You're good.
Okay, well, we'll rush through the ending then. So we will pick back up with this next month and see where we go from here. And in the next recording, David will be wearing some shirt of some type that will be of my choosing. And I can't wait. I'm like this close to just like ordering you a hot pink shirt, just for it to happen. But we'll see if I can get that much closer before the next recording.
Well, my daughter would love it if I had a hot pink Pinkie Pie shirt.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, you may be getting a gift. All right. Do you have any final words, David?
Stick with us. We'll get to the tone. Trust me.
Yes, and from there, like I feel like this is essentially a bit of a playground where we can do other things. So if you have other questions about, whether it's about sounds or sound changes or tones or things that are more semantically rooted, let us know because we can treat this as a grand experiment of conlanging and teaching in a podcast.
All right. Cool.
Awesome. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful month and stay grammar.
Stay grammar, everybody. Bye-bye.